The man playing this game would go on to murder dozens of children inside of their elementary school. The guy seen in that footage is none other than Adam Lanza, the perpetrator behind the 2012 Sandy Hook shooting. On December 14th, 2012, Adam Lanza walked into the Sandy Hook Elementary School with loaded weaponry, opened fire, and ended up killing 20 children between 6 and 7 years old and 6 adult staff members before ending his own life. This is truly one of the most horrific stories in American history. Now, Adam's parents had divorced in the year 2008, and at the time of the shooting, he was living with his mother, but Adam came from a fairly regular, normal, all-American household. He was even described by those who knew him as being highly intelligent but withdrawn. It's known that Adam suffered from a number of different disorders, including Asperger's syndrome and sensory processing disorder. He had also been diagnosed with OCD in the past. But in the years before the shooting, Adam almost completely withdrew from society. He stopped hanging out with any of the friends that he had. He stopped attending school due to his anxiety. And in the months and years before the shooting, he began to obsess with acts of mass violence. He even created and maintained spreadsheets on previous mass shooting events. And yeah, he glorified all of these murderers in his mind, and at one point decided he wanted to become one of them as well. Adam's mother owned a number of legally purchased firearms because she was a gun enthusiast herself, and on the day of the shooting, Adam murdered his own mother in their home before driving to the school and enacting a disturbing wave of violence. That video that I showed you at the beginning showing Adam playing a game in public is just truly haunting. The way that he's moving, the fact that he would go on to do what he did, it's almost unbelievable footage. And it becomes such a dark video when you understand what came afterwards. My wife and I covered this story a few years ago on our podcast, Murder in America, so if you want to listen to us talk about it, please consider checking the show out. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
What y'all think about no discharge December for the girls? Huh? Great idea?
The guy in that video, named Brandon Heberlin, blew up on TikTok a few years ago for creating extremely disturbing content like what I just showed you, where he frequently talked about sexual topics, and he basically would just get his phone out, start recording, and then say extremely creepy things. Now, immediately people online began trolling this guy and saying that he was creepy, and that's because he was, but eventually some legitimately creepy information would come out about him. Like the fact that he had already been arrested and convicted of an extremely disturbing crime, and that crime was sexual abuse. According to police documents, a female victim had filed a criminal complaint alleging sexual abuse and unlawful imprisonment charges against Brandon R. Heberlin on July 28th of the year that this was filed. She also petitioned for an order of protection against him. She said that he made unwanted physical and sexual contact towards her on July 28th of that year, and in police documents, Heberlin, the guy, claimed he could not hear the victim ask him to stop, nor was he able to discern that she was serious and uncomfortable after she pulled away from him. And he even allegedly told investigators he attempted to play with the victim by grabbing her hands and restraining her. So at first when this guy blew up, people thought he was just kind of a, not really harmless, but just a creepy dude. I mean, there's millions and millions of them out there. But eventually when all this came to light, it took the internet by storm. And there was even a petition started to get him expelled or blocked from attending school at MSU. Now, according to people that I saw talking about this case online, there was allegedly another victim who had came forward anonymously claiming that he had kissed and acted inappropriately towards them when their age being unknown, but they claimed that they were a minor. And Brandon in the past actually claimed that he was now at this point clean of his previous pedophilic behaviors. So yeah, I mean, this story is creepy however you look at it. I couldn't find any information on what ended up happening to Brandon, but clearly this is a guy that you should stay away from. If you want to hear more true crime stories, check out the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife, Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
I work for John Gotti! That's my
A guy dressed up as Elmo has been ranting in Central Park, yelling anti-Semitic slurs.
Jews will harass you!
He railed against Hindus.
You say you Hindu to him!
Elmo needs his mouth washed out with soap.
Filthy, stinking, filthy, stinking.
That is the scariest Elmo I've ever seen in my life.
The man in the Elmo costume seen in those videos was deported from the country of Cambodia in 1999 for running a pornographic website called Welcome to Rape Camp. This is Adam Sandler, the man in the suit. Yes, his name is actually legally Adam Sandler, and for years now, he's been seen all across the country from New York to LA. And what Adam frequently does is he shows up in public places, frequently dressed as characters from the Sesame Street franchise like Elmo or the Cookie Monster, and he harasses, he threatens people, he says terrible things to them. But like I said at the beginning of this video, Adam has an extremely checkered and deeply disturbing past. In 1999, he was deported from Cambodia for running that website called Welcome to Rape Camp. And basically people could pay to see disturbing things done to what he called, quote, Asian sex slaves, end quote, on his website. And according to reports, things got violent, and a lot of the footage that was posted and hosted on his website was deeply disturbing. Adam, though, was eventually arrested by Cambodian authorities and deported back to America. And if there were ever anyone that I think needs a hard drive check, it would definitely be this guy. Because not only has he threatened to rip people's throats out, that happened to a San Francisco shopkeeper, but if you run a website called Welcome to Rape Camp, I just don't think you should be out in public dressed as a children's figure, or I don't know what you would call him, a beloved character from a children's show, talking to anybody and everybody who might be out on the street that day, including, men, women, and children. If you want to hear more true crime stories, check out the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife, Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
What is going on?
What's happening?
I have no idea what's happening. What is going on? Well, we've got people shooting.
Oh my goodness, where?
I don't know. People are down on the field.
In 2023, during a Friday night football game in Oklahoma, shots rang out and people began to flee. You can see that initial shock and response in the video at the beginning of this video. People were absolutely stunned. Obviously, the football game was shut down. People were running for their lives, and nobody had any idea what was happening. In today's culture, people thought that this was evolving into a potential mass shooting incident, and so people literally took cover and ran for their lives. It was eventually discovered that in the shooting that you hear on camera, 2 people were injured and a 16-year-old lost his life. The 16-year-old who was shot and killed was named Cordia Carter, and in the ensuing chaos, an off-duty Del City, Oklahoma police officer actually ended up shooting a 42-year-old in the chest. The 42-year-old did not die, but he was another victim of this tragic event. Eventually, a 15-year-old suspect was arrested for the murder, and he was never named or his identity revealed because he was a minor at the time of the shooting. But this is just another reminder of the tragic reality we face here in America every single day, where events like this can happen anywhere at any time. If you want to hear more true crime stories, check out the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife, Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
What do you want? It's all so abandoned. It's like a zombie movie. I think it's why malls really get me. It's like dawn. This is the entrance and exit to mall. It's pitch black. Very eerie down here. Look at all these empty storefronts.
Watch as the team behind the wheel floors the stolen car.
She's still in their car. He's still in the car? Yeah, we called the cops. Call the cops. Call the cops.
After hearing the crash, the witness recording everything starts running.
In 2021, 66-year-old Mohammed Anwar was making deliveries as an Uber Eats driver. I don't know if he was actively delivering an Uber Eats order as this all went down, but that is what he mainly used his car for. Sadly, on that day though, 2 teenage girls approached Muhammad, carjacked him, and assaulted him with a stun gun. As you can see in that footage, Muhammad was clinging onto his vehicle as it was stolen, and the 2 teenage girls, after stealing the vehicle, sped down the street, and before they could get away with the crime, they ended up crashing the car literally at the end of the street. Sadly, Muhammad would lose his life in this incident, and the crime proved to be ultimately completely fruitless because the 2 teenage girls literally crashed the car they had stolen at the end of the street, approximately 10 or so seconds after stealing the vehicle and killing Muhammad. Now, there are no images of these teenage girls online. We don't know their identities, and that's because they were only 13 and 15 years old. And at the end of their trials, both teenagers were sentenced to serve time in the juvenile detention center until they turn 21 years old, when they will be released, meaning that they got about a decade or so in prison, or really I should say juvenile detention, for stealing a vehicle, crashing that vehicle, and ending an innocent man's life. If you want to hear more true crime stories, check out the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
People always asking me, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like, buddy, I'm just trying to make it to Friday.
The guy you saw in that video is a convicted pedophile and wannabe rapper, and his recent actions have been extremely disturbing. So recently, using his main account, this guy commented on a photo of Northwest, Kanye and Kim Kardashian's daughter, and he said, "Can North be my Celeste?" Now, obviously, we know that North is still obviously underage, so this is disturbing in the first place. But the fact that this guy said, "Can North be my Celeste?" If you haven't been following the stuff that's been happening with musician David, Celeste is an underage rape and murder victim who was found in the trunk of musician David's car. So when he says, "Can North be my Celeste?" the only way that I and many others interpret that is, can I please molest and kill this person? So that's bad enough, right? I mean, that's a truly horrific and disgusting thing to say. Well, it gets worse when you find out that this guy has already been charged and convicted of sexually assaulting a minor in the parking lot of a Walmart. And according to news sources, quote, officials report that a female victim between the ages of 11 and 14 stated that she had been assaulted by 2 males in the parking lot of a Walmart. And later, the 2 guys arrested for this crime were Lamar Cruz and Ranful Huff. So you have this extremely dark and disturbing past that this guy has, and then he's commenting this extremely dark and disturbing shit on a young girl's post. I don't understand how social media companies allow people like this to keep their platforms and their accounts. I mean, this is just truly horrific however you look at it. If you want to hear more true crime stories, check out the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.